actually basically on a text message saying word. That's all they saying. Like it's one dude saying, yo, do this, and one dude is saying word. What do you feel about that?
I mean, I can't speak on my brothers in them cases and what they going on. I can only be who I always been, they brother. You know, I'm a rock with them for life. It's us.
I'm here, so y'all can think I'm a.
Bro.
That ain't fair, man.
Hey,
I'm on EBT, bro.
hey.
That's why.
Kevin McCall's viral breakdown sparked old beef with Chris Brown. But before things cooled off, Young Thug jumped in, confronting Chris face to face. What began as a calm talk exploded into a fiery clash. Leaked footage from that night showed just how wild it got. October 20th, 2025, a date that shook R&B to its core. Kevin McCall, 40 years old, sat for what was supposed to be a chill podcast on Back on Fig. No one saw what was coming. Around 45 minutes in, while the hosts hyped him up about his talent, something snapped. Kevin reached into his wallet, pulled out his EBT card, right there on camera, and broke down, crying. It was raw. It was heartbreaking. You could feel the pain pouring out through the screen.
Why the fuck
You have a testimony.
Why the
tell your life.
Get in on this.
I witnessed it.
He finna be in here and
Why
tell
the
the
fuck I got an EBT card? And this is at Breezy Bowl and made 90 whatever the million, and it say KKKKK Max. Can I get 25,000 for them four songs I owe you, bro? I just want to leave, bro.
Leading up to who he is.
I'm not even tripping though. I got an EBT card, my nigga. Like what the, bro? I can't even get nothing, bro, man.
It was a wild mix of shock and sympathy. Here's a dude who helped make some of the biggest hits of the 2000s and 2010s, tracks that made millions, now revealing he's on government aid just to survive. Crazy. Kevin kept it real, saying he was behind on $2,000 a month in child support for his daughter Marley with ex-Eva Marcille. He hadn't seen his kids in over a decade and even admitted to having suicidal thoughts. Through tears and pain, he made a raw plea to Chris Brown. "Give me the $25,000 you owe me for those 4 songs, bro." McCall claimed he was cheated out of up to $3 million in royalties, saying a shady CBE deal robbed him blind. Meanwhile, Chris was out doing his Breezy Bowl 20 tour, pulling in nearly $100 million performing songs Kevin helped write. The clip blew up instantly, millions of views in hours. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, everyone was talking. The internet was on fire. Some saw Kevin as a broken man crushed by a ruthless industry that used him up and tossed him aside. Others called it karma, saying this was the same guy who'd made wild threats and burned every bridge in sight, now trying to play victim when it all backfired.
Deuces come together.
Deuces came together. He was doing, In My Zone did well. So he wanted to click up with Tiger. He was a fan of him. He felt like he had buzz popping at the time. He wanted to link up with him and do a joint album.
The internet was split right down the middle. But then, out of nowhere, someone major stepped in. A name big enough to shift the whole energy. Young Thug. Fresh out the jam and ready to move different. On October 21st, just one day after Kevin's emotional breakdown, Thug shocked everyone by tweeting, "Kevin McCall, hit me, bro. I'll give you the 25K you need. And I know CB would give it too. He a real one. N's just busy sometimes." That post broke the internet again. Thug wasn't chasing clout. He was offering real money, showing real heart. He did it publicly too, which forced both Kevin and Chris to respond in front of everyone. But what made it even deeper, Thug was defending Chris while still helping Kevin. That balance was rare, real boss energy. To truly get why this move hit so hard, you gotta understand Thug and Chris's bond. They've been locked in for years. Real friendship, real respect. Back in 2020, during lockdown, they dropped Slime and B, a 13-track mixtape that proved their chemistry was pure magic and had the whole game tuned in. Their collab had been magic. Go Crazy shot up to number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100 and went 4 times platinum. That's certified pressure. But the real story wasn't just the hits. It was the loyalty behind the scenes. When Young Thug got hit with RICO charges in 2022 and spent over 2 years locked up, Chris Brown showed him real love, not just industry talk. Chris repped Tasher Free YSL, spoke about Thug in interviews, and kept his name alive while everyone else stayed quiet. So when Thug offered to help Kevin McCall, he wasn't switching sides, he was trying to mediate. He showed compassion for a man clearly breaking down while still standing by his brother Chris. That's real G energy. When Thug said, "CB would give it too, bro. He a real one. N's just busy," it proved he wasn't choosing sides. Kevin even replied hours later, showing love and saying he'd DM him. For a second, it looked like peace might actually happen. Fresh out the feds, Thug was moving different. hosting charity events, giving back to the kids, spreading love. But while Thug was focused on peace, Chris Brown, he had a whole different plan brewing. October 22nd, 2025, Chris Brown dropped his response and it was cold. He hit Instagram stories with the pettiness on max, writing, "Remember this, you can't walk across a burnt bridge. And you know what's funnier than a troll? A broke one." Brutal. That line hit like a punch. No reconciliation, no forgiveness, no payout, nothing. Chris made it clear that bridge wasn't just burned, it was turned to ash. Social media exploded again. Twitter was a war zone, fans taking sides. About 70% were rocking with Chris, saying Kevin brought this on himself, especially since he once allegedly threatened Chris's daughter. They said he had chance after chance and still messed it up, so now he had to face the fallout. One tweet summed it up perfectly. Before anyone says Chris Brown is being mean to context, Kevin McCall threatened to kill him and his daughter Royalty. That post went viral instantly. Still, others thought Chris went too far, mocking a man clearly spiraling mentally and emotionally. They said Kevin helped him rise when he was grinding, so laughing at his downfall was cold-blooded. Some even pointed to the industry's shady side, how songwriters and producers often get left broke while stars get rich. So even if Kevin made mistakes, folks argued, if he's owed that money, he deserves to get paid. That's not pity, that's business. To really get how things blew up like this, Kevin breaking down on camera and Chris firing back with zero mercy, we gotta rewind to where it all started. Back when they were brothers in the grind, two young hustlers chasing the same dream before it all went sour. March 9th, 2016. That's when Kevin finally snapped. Tired of staying quiet while the industry ate off his work, he jumped on Twitter and called Chris out directly. Chris Brown, we need to sit down and handle this business. I tried the adult route, but my kindness getting taken for weakness. Boom, line drawn in the sand. Kevin wasn't chasing clout, he wanted answers. He said he was done being overlooked and wanted the royalties he'd earned. To him, this was about justice, not drama. But Chris? He wasn't having it. The very next day, March 10th, 2016, Chris went off on Instagram. A long, fiery post that made one thing clear. He wasn't backing down. It was raw, it was personal, and it cut deep. Chris called Kevin a bottom feeder and threw out a chilling warning that had everyone talking, "Keep messing with me and you won't be able to walk, let alone sing again." That wasn't just shade. That was a friendship-ending shot heard around the industry. Chris's words sounded like a straight-up threat, and everyone in the culture caught it instantly. This wasn't some subtle jab. It came from a man known for both genius and temper, with a history of public blow-ups that fans hadn't forgotten. Kevin, the defiant one, tried to play it cool at first. He hopped on Snapchat saying, "I'm Chris Brown's #1 fan, actually." Whether that was sarcasm or mixed emotions, nobody could tell. Real talk. This was a guy who once looked up to Chris like a brother, who helped make his biggest hits, now being threatened by the same man he used to ride for. But things didn't calm down. They got messier. Through 2016, Kevin bounced between begging to be released from his contract and praising Chris's music like nothing happened. It was confusing, toxic, and sad. That love-hate cycle everyone's seen play out before. Then came June 2016. Kevin dropped a diss track called Baruch, a slick play on the name of Chris's ex, Karoe Katran. The streets caught it fast. Kevin later admitted he did it just to get under Chris's skin. Straight up heady warfare. By then, their friendship was gone. It wasn't mentor and student anymore. It was two men trying to emotionally destroy each other. And then came December 11th, 2017, the moment Kevin crossed a line that had the entire industry watching in disbelief. Kevin went full throttle with it, posting an Instagram video challenging Chris to a real fistfight. He called him a bitch for bringing guns to a fight, questioning his whole tough guy image. Kevin was basically saying Chris talked big but couldn't back it up man to man. Then came the most symbolic and heartbreaking moment of their fallout. Kevin took his platinum plaque for Deuces, the very song that built both their careers, and smashed it on camera. He captioned it, "Deuces to my past." That was it. The friendship was dead and buried. Chris's response? Just two emojis, one blank face and one laughing with tears. That silent reaction cut deep. In hip-hop culture, silence like that says everything. You're not even worth my words. And that humiliation seemed to push Kevin past the point of no return. On January 6, 2018, Kevin fired off tweets that shocked even his supporters. He wrote that if Chris had anything to do with him getting shot, Chris Brown and his seed would be in a casket. "Stop playing with rumors or I can't promise CB will make 29. That's when the world froze, because Kevin had just crossed an unforgivable line. He didn't just threaten Chris. He mentioned Chris's daughter, Royalty, who was only 3 at the time, a child with nothing to do with their feud. That moment destroyed any chance of peace forever. Kevin's words crossed a line nobody could defend. He referred to royalty as Chris's seed, and implied both father and daughter would end up in a casket if Chris had anything to do with his shooting. That was beyond disrespectful. Straight up unforgivable in the culture. The backlash came instantly. Fans, blogs, and even people who once felt sorry for Kevin turned on him overnight. One viral tweet summed it up perfectly. "I don't care how much you hate Chris Brown, you don't threaten someone's child." That tweet spoke for everybody. Even folks who believed Kevin got done dirty by the industry had to back away. There are rules, like in hip-hop, in the streets, in life, and threatening a kid is one of the biggest you never cross. That's off limits, period. Kevin tried cleaning it up fast, saying he was quoting Bible verses and that he didn't mean harm, that he loved Chris and his daughter and would kill for them, not kill them. But nobody was buying it. That spin only made things worse. By then, the damage was permanent. Whatever valid points Kevin once had about contracts or royalties got buried under those threats. He'd officially lost the public and handed Chris the moral high ground on a silver platter. Then in 2019, Kevin spiraled again, going off on another rant, this time saying wild things about Chris's fans. It showed the pattern hadn't changed and that whatever peace or redemption people once hoped for was long gone. It was another jaw-dropping moment, one more bridge torched beyond repair. Kevin's pain had turned into pure self-destruction, and everyone could see it unfolding in real time. Through all the chaos, Chris Brown barely said a word. He stayed silent, moving smart, while Kevin unraveled publicly. Chris didn't need to clap back. Kevin's own actions were doing the damage for him. But in a resurfaced 2020 clip, Chris finally spoke up, throwing subtle yet brutal shade. He said, if he wrote all these songs, he claiming he wrote, why he ain't right no more. Cold. That line hit hard and left no room for debate. It was ruthless, but real. Chris's career had skyrocketed with platinum albums, sold-out tours, and Grammys, while Kevin's momentum completely flatlined. His 2017 project, Man of God, barely made a sound. The contrast between the two was painful to watch, one artist thriving, the other drowning in regret and chaos. Kevin's net worth, which should have been stacked from his early hits, had dropped to almost nothing, but the story didn't stop there. Not even close. Because while Kevin spiraled deeper into pain, bad relationships, and substance struggles, life around him kept moving fast. To really grasp how this all came crashing down, we gotta rewind, all the way back to where it began, the rise and fall of a brotherhood, back to 2009, when a young Kevin McCall from Watts, Los Angeles made the bold move that would flip his life forever, the moment that set everything in motion. Picture this. Kevin McCall, fresh out of college, ex-football player chasing NFL dreams, suddenly pivoting into music. At an industry event, he spots Chris Brown, just 20 at the time, trying to rebuild after the 2009 Rihanna scandal that nearly ended his career. McCall saw his shot and took it. In a move straight out of a movie, Kevin literally pinned Chris against a wall to pitch his demos, pure hunger and hustle. And shockingly, it worked. Chris, intrigued by the fire and maybe seeing a bit of himself in Kevin, invited him to the studio that same week. What followed was magic, brotherhood, creativity, and chemistry. Brown signed McCall to his CBE, Chris Brown Entertainment label under RCA, making him his protege during one of the most crucial comebacks in R&B history. Together, they started cranking out hits that still slap today. Their biggest? Deuces, the 2010 anthem featuring Tyga that hit number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100 and went platinum fast. But here's the twist. Deuces was originally McCall's song. He wrote it after a tough breakup, pouring his heart into every lyric. Kevin only gave it to Chris under one condition. He had to stay on the track. Chris agreed, brought in Tyga to spice it up, and the rest became history. Certified classic. Deuces didn't just change the charts, it changed lives. The song earned a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Sung Collaboration and brought in serious cash. Kevin McCall said he pocketed over 6 figures just from that record alone. Mind-blowing money for a kid from Watts who'd been working retail at Abercrombie & Fitch not long before, barely scraping by to make rent. For Kevin, it must have felt like hitting the jackpot. All those sleepless nights, all that grind, finally paying off. But Deuces was only the beginning of their unstoppable run. McCall co-wrote and featured on Strip in 2011. Another smash that had the clubs going crazy and peaked at number 37 on the Hot 100. Then came his work on Look at Me Now, that monster collab with Busta Rhymes and Lil Wayne, a track that became Chris's first real #1 radio hit and turned the whole culture upside down. Kevin's fingerprints were everywhere on Chris's FAME and their album, the same project that earned Chris his first Grammy and locked in his comeback as one of R&B's biggest names. McCall also penned joints for other artists, including Carrie Hilson's One Night Stand. showing his range and cementing himself as one of the most promising young writers in the game. For a shining moment, Kevin was living the dream. The kind every kid from the hood imagines when they're scribbling rhymes in notebooks or singing in cracked microphones. He wasn't just writing songs, he was shaping the sound of a new R&B era. Chris even called Kevin his big brother in interviews. That's how close they were. Their studio sessions were like family gatherings. Laughter, creative sparks, long nights full of beats, melodies, and brotherly love. They were on top of the world together. Unstoppable, untouchable, or so it seemed. But success has a dark side, and under all that shine, cracks were starting to show. Small at first, creative disagreements, business tension, but soon they turned into fault lines ready to split everything apart. Kevin began to feel boxed in, like his artistic wings were being clipped. He wanted to explore, experiment, and be seen as more than Chris Brown's sidekick. Between 2013 and 2014, that frustration grew louder. He felt controlled, unheard, and trapped in a system that wanted his talent but not his independence. Those early warning signs? They were the tremors before the quake, and when it finally hit, it would destroy everything they'd built together. In a 2015 interview that went viral, Kevin McCall opened up about the real tension behind the scenes. He said Chris Brown wanted him to push that grown, sexy thug image, but that clashed with Kevin's own vision of who he was as an artist. The breaking point came in 2014 over something that seemed small at first but ended up changing everything. Keke Palmer, yes, that Keke Palmer, reached out wanting to collab. Kevin jumped at it, excited to finally step out of Chris's shadow and prove he could shine solo. They recorded Shorty Want a Ride and shot a video, and Kevin thought this was the start of his next chapter. But Chris wasn't feeling it at all. According to Kevin, Chris called him directly, furious about the move. He said Keke's clean, Disney-style image didn't fit the edgy brand he was building for his team. But it wasn't just about image, it was about control. Kevin claimed Chris threatened to ruin his career and make sure no label would touch him again. For someone who came up from Watts, where respect means everything, that felt like straight-up disrespect. That confrontation flipped their whole relationship. Kevin realized he wasn't being treated like a brother or equal, just another artist under control. From that point on, the love started dying, and the power struggle began. Kevin started feeling like the walls were closing in. He believed Chris Brown's manager was secretly blocking his solo moves, shutting down projects and keeping him from getting new opportunities. And the biggest issue of all? The money. Even though Deuces became a massive hit with over 500 million Spotify streams, Kevin claimed he never saw the full royalties he was owed. He said his publishing deal under Chris's company was unfair. Signed when he was young, broke, and didn't have a lawyer to break it all down. Basically, he walked into a setup where the game was rigged from the start. His RCA deal, which came through Chris's connections, also crumbled fast. Kevin said he wasn't even officially listed as a signed artist, his budget got misused, and his credits started vanishing from songs he helped create, including Look at Me Now. To Kevin, that was the ultimate betrayal, being erased from music history by the very person he helped build up. What do you think? Was Kevin McCall wronged by the system, or did his own moves cause his downfall? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.